It's been a good week. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Blues and Stripes. So today we are going to talk about some of the transfers that I haven't had a chance to discuss yet, also some of the rumors I've heard, as well as what I still hope we do for the rest of this transfer window. But before we get to that, first of all, I do want to say thank you to everybody that's watched my review of the PSG match, as well as my short that I did, focusing specifically about what I said of Maresca's tactics for that match. I was really worried whenever I split my channel into three, especially since I didn't have that many subscribers to begin with. I was really worried nobody's going to watch whenever I did start doing videos on each individual channel, so I was glad to see still managed to pick up some decent views. But also, something that I thought we could do that might be a bit fun today is look back on some of the bitter rivals that I've had to deal with in the past week, just on some of the comments I've made on other videos. So I thought you might want to take a trip with me, because it's been a fun week in that regard. So first of all, this is a comment that I made on one of TalkSport's videos, specifically the one where Cundy did his "Has anyone seen PSG?" Really wish I could do my own version, but as I said in my PSG review, I'm now living in an apartment, and I do not want to start screaming and have my neighbors question what the hell I'm doing in here. But basically, my first comment here was talking about what Cundy said on Inside Chelsea for TalkSport. Basically said he's going to be unbearable for the next 4 years, which, I mean, I think we all are. We're not going to let them live down anything that they said. And this guy, Basket Case, decided to come in and be a basket case, asking how there are so many of us here. When Liverpool won the league, there were about 6 comments asking, are Chelsea fans the only people who watch TalkSport now? Which I'm pretty sure us Chelsea fans just remember all of the TalkSport people that kept giving us no chance and decided, oh, we're not going to let them live that down. But this is the part. Chelsea win a friendly cup, and there are hundreds of comments. So you'll see this as a running theme throughout these comments. The idea that this tournament, it's just a friendly. It's not that important. It's a joke. That's how you know you're dealing with a rival fan that is absolutely bitter that they were not there. So scrolling down, this was my response. Friendly Cup, still bitter, are we? We're here because we kept hearing for the past few days how PSG were going to run over us, so we're here to celebrate and drink up all of the rival tears. So thank you for your contribution. There were a lot of contributions to the rival tears jug, and they were keeping us well nourished, weren't they? And so then this guy responds, how is noticing that Chelsea fans seem to be the only people who watch and listen to TalkSport bitter? It's a simple observation, calm down. First of all, the reading comprehension of this guy, I literally say, friendly cup, still bitter, are we? Basically saying him calling it a friendly cup is why he's being bitter. And he turns it into, oh, I'm just noticing Chelsea fans are the only ones here. That's not me being bitter. It's not that hard to read and comprehend what you're reading, my dude. So then some guy comes in, says, let them have it, bro. And then I responded, letting him know, trying to downplay the Club World Cup because you weren't in it is why you're bitter. Another guy popped in to throw some shade at Basket Case. I may be wrong, but in all my years of watching football, I have yet to see teams field the strongest 11 for friendlies. I've yet to see players crying for losing friendlies. I've certainly never seen coaches assault opposition players for losing friendlies. But hey, yeah, maybe this was just a friendly that they all cared a little more about. Basically calling him out, this was not just a friendly because people actually cared here. I also want you to notice he's been getting 1 like, 11, 15, 17. I had 30 up on this one. Kind of funny in that regard. But then Basket Case responds to Scotty H. You're wrong. The whole point of a friendly tournament is to get your players ready for the new season. That means having your best players play together. No one feels players in friendlies who they don't plan to use all season. This guy's never watched a friendly match. Let's be honest. If you've ever watched a friendly match, you see youngsters, you see players who are on the fringes who are maybe trying to see, are they going to break into the first team or do we need to loan them out? Some players are trying to up their price a little bit and trying to get teams to come get them before the season starts. This is clearly somebody who is trying to justify in his own mind that this is all just a friendly. And so, thankfully, somebody came back and instantly put him in his place. LMAO, no, they don't. The point of friendlies is to rotate the players and get them to fitness level, meaning up to 11 players, even goalkeeper, eventually get substituted because the manager wants to see individual performance while also evaluating the tactics implemented in real match, which that is not the case at all what's happening in CWC. And then Scotty H, of course, also had to come back and make sure this guy knew. Liverpool, clearly this guy seemed to be a Liverpool fan based on his first comment. Liverpool just played Preston North End and started 3 17-year-old academy players. What are you even talking about? But anyway, aside from that completely incorrect response, what about the other points? Why was Sharky crying into Pep's arms after losing? Why did Enrique assault Pedro for being a sore loser if they didn't care it's just a friendly? Honestly, man, just stop. You're embarrassing yourself. Just have some integrity and give us the props when it's due. And that's probably where it should have stopped. But of course it did not. So then we had a few more people taking the piss out of him. Imagine calling one of the biggest tournaments in club football Friendly Cup. This guy said he wanted Cundy to go to ESPN because, yeah, ESPN announcers are all a joke. This guy also responded, Chelsea done what Liverpool couldn't, mate. And he once again said, the difference is Liverpool would have lost in the final against PSG. They've got Liverpool's number. Then Basket Case decides to come back. Not the way PSG played in the final. They look absolutely dead. Barnsley could have beaten them. This guy couldn't let that stand. He could not let it stand that we just outplayed them. We made them look dead. We made them look incompetent because of how we set up. And I would also like to just point out as a side note, 7 likes, 3 likes, 2 likes, 6 likes. No likes on this one. But of course, I had to put him in his place there. The first calling the tournament a friendly, now saying anyone could have beat PSG in the final, just let it go, dude. We outclassed the best team in the world. We won the lot, and nothing you say is going to rain on our parade, so stop wasting your time. And that's really the point of all of these that I'm going to show you today. All these fans wanted to try to make us feel bad. They wanted to try to take away from this moment for us. And as far as I can tell, no Chelsea fan really let that happen. But that was basically all from Basket Case. You had a couple people coming back. Champions of the world. Chelsea were just that good. We made PSG look like that. What friendly cup was that? Love how you try to diss the achievement. They had to qualify and they didn't, which, to be fair to Liverpool, they are the ones with the most justified frustration because they missed it by 1 year. I'm pretty sure they won it in 2020, so they missed the cutoff by 1 year. So I do understand why Liverpool's fans are mostly upset. Do not understand at all why Arsenal fans are trying to say anything. Now moving on, this was another one that I found pretty hilarious. So I commented on this video. It's Jason Cundy and Andy Goldstein talking about Chelsea winning the World Cup on TalkSport. And Andy Goldstein, being the absolute bitter wind-up merchant that he is, tried to downplay calling it a friendly tournament. And it's funny because of all of the rival fans, Man U fans have been the only one that have had a section of them that have actually given us some props for winning this. But as I said, anybody calling CWC a friendly tournament is either jealous, bitter, or ignorant, and Goldstein could arguably fit into all three of those qualifications. So then this guy had to pop up and had to try to throw in his little 2 cents to be like, nuh-uh, it had Auckland and Al Hilal in it. And you'll see the rebuttal, but this guy did come back, good old Bully Maguire. Al Hilal is better than Man City. I think you've forgotten it. It's not a great argument because winning a one-off match does not suddenly mean you are better than that team. And so this guy did come back with that. They beat them in a one-off game. By your logic, Nottingham Forest are better than Liverpool. But I had to come back and put him in his place. So I said also Real, Bayern, PSG, Man City, Atletico, Chelsea, and Dortmund. But sure, point out the weakest teams. I guess the Champions League is washed because Sturm Graz was in it. And then of course I had to thank him for adding his contribution to the rival tier's water jug. His response, Graz wouldn't get beat 10-0, would they? It's a FIFA vanity project, no different from the Community Shield. What is he talking about? So Auckland get beat 10-0 by Bayern in a one-off match. But he's just talking about you can't say that Al Hilal beating Man City in one match makes them better, and yet Auckland City getting beat in 10-0 in one match suddenly makes them discrediting the entire tournament? But no different than the Community Shield. The Community Shield where you have the FA Cup winners and the Premier League winners play each other in one match. It's no different than 32 teams from across the world that have had to win their Champions League or be the best in their own country. It's the same thing, right? So this guy was obviously just feeling bitter about the whole thing, so I had to really mess with him a little bit. So I had a couple responses. I said, Sturm Graz are not what rates the Champions League. People rate the tournaments by the big teams, not the smallest. And comparing a 32-team tournament to a one-off game is the height of stupidity, but hey, if it helps you cope. Follow-up thought, the FA Cup isn't a big tournament in your mind? You've got no ground to stand on here, so how about quitting while you're only a couple of miles behind? Because let's be honest, he was never ahead in this conversation. And what's really sad is this guy didn't understand the point I was trying to make by bringing up the FA Cup. So he responded, never mention the FA Cup. At least it has tradition, been going on for years. The Club World Cup is used to make money. Games were played at dangerous temperatures. Enzo even complained about it. Whole thing was silly, just a Community Shield equivalent. So once again, trying to make it just the Community Shield, which still makes no sense. So I had to let him know. I had to help his tiny little brain comprehend what point I was trying to make. I brought up the FA Cup because you're using some of the weaker teams in the tournament to discredit it. So I'm negating that point. Because if you don't know, the FA Cup has plenty of semi-pro teams that start out in the tournament. So if you're ranking the tournament by the weakest teams that are in it, the FA Cup is a joke of a tournament then, right? But then to further negate the point he just made, as far as conditions and the history, it's the first tournament of the new setup, but the CWC has been around for a couple of decades. And this is something that some people have pointed out to try to rain on Chelsea fans' parades, that this is not the first time we've won the Club World Cup, but this is the new setup. It's a little bit more difficult because there are a lot more teams and a lot bigger teams involved, but the Club World Cup has been around for a while, and maybe it was for money's sake to change and make it this new setup, but it's still there to be won, and there's still a lot of prize money that's involved in it. So it's still a big tournament to go win. And then as far as the conditions, of course it was hot. It's summer. Whoa, crazy, isn't it, that it's hot in the summer? FIFA will probably learn from their mistakes here for next year. Make sure to have the earlier matches, the indoor stadiums, and later matches in the, and for some reason, it's not letting me expand and show the rest of my comment there. Basically, that is one thing that people have complained about that does make a lot of sense, that they were playing some of the earlier matches in midday when it was at its hottest in the outdoor stadiums, like in Orlando, where it's some of the hottest places. And then there were 9 o'clock games here in Atlanta, even though we have a closed stadium with air conditioning. Didn't make a whole lot of sense. And what's really ironic is this guy coming in saying, say that again without crying. And this guy responds to him, completely ignores what I said to him, because I guess he just realized I shut down his every point. He had nothing more he wanted to say to me because he realized he wasn't winning in that conversation. One final thing, this guy pops in. He puts the timestamp where there was a Chelsea fan coming on, basically saying something along the lines of, I'm not getting too excited. I still want to see where this season is going to take us. And there is some truth to that. This was a great win, but for Maresca, even I said, it's going to be a whole different ballgame whenever we're in the middle of the season, and you're having to juggle the FA Cup, the Premier League, possibly the League Cup, the Champions League. There's going to be a lot more to figure out. That's going to be where Maresca's really going to be challenged this season. But this guy says, a fan who sees the real picture and isn't speaking out of stupidity and hype. And I just love that. It's this guy trying to be like, this guy's the only fan out here that's not speaking out of stupidity. As if us beating PSG is not an amazing thing that deserves to be praised. So of course I just had to rile him up a little bit and just say, here comes another bitter rival fan trying to rain on our parade. But the final thing that I did want to bring up, which was just so bizarre, I've never had a conversation I got so confused by. But I went to 44Tunes, made the video about Chelsea beating PSG in the final. And they, of course, made some jokes about Trump being in the picture and trying to be a part of the club. But my favorite part of the video, they had Maresca kicking his feet like he was on the bench, which was absolutely hilarious to me. And as far as, because I know some people talked about like Trump being up there, and I did see a couple fans that were pissed about it, like, get off the stage, why are you trying to take this moment away? I didn't think it was that big of a deal. They got plenty of pictures without him in it after he stepped behind everybody. And honestly, it led to some really funny moments, so I think that's just everybody trying to find controversy and trying to rile up a story. So many headlines said, Trump steals the show. And I'm like, no, he didn't. People will talk about it, people will make jokes about it. We still won. That doesn't take anything away from us. But this guy, I'm just going to have to go through this conversation just so you could see where this conversation went. Starts it off, you've done it before, just the competition wasn't as weird as it is now or as gimmicky. I was so glad Chelsea won, but let's get ready to rumble takes any credit away from the cup. I'd rather win League Cup final than that dog and pony show. It was a joke overall. So this guy is very clearly so bitter that we won this whole thing, tries to downplay it, says the let's get ready to rumble, even though it was held in America, and it's kind of a classic in our sporting events here. I mean, if they did some classic thing, if they were holding this in, say, South America or in Africa, if they did something that's kind of more regional there, would you still be saying that? Or are you just saying that because it's America and you want to try to downplay the fact that it was held here? But I'd rather win the League Cup final. Like that to me is just absolutely hilarious because nobody rates the League Cup. So it's clearly him just trying to completely downplay the tournament. So, of course, I came back. Say what you will, but it was a lot easier to win it before now. The European side only ever had one team to beat from South America in the final. Now it's a proper tournament, and we had to be the best over several matches instead of just 2. Give it a couple more iterations, and people will start to see the appeal. And that's, for me, where a lot of people don't seem to understand. Part of the appeal of this now is it's not just the European sides and the South American sides. I'm pretty sure those are the two. They get a bye in the first round, and then they play the other teams from other countries in the semifinals. As far as I know, almost every year, it's European side versus the South American side, and that's it. That's basically the only part of the Club World Cup that's ever mattered. So now you actually have a lot of the top clubs from all these different countries in this tournament. And whether they were good or not, it's still a fun time to see some of these clubs we had no idea about. I mean, how many people were talking about them? The Mamelodi Sundowns, I think, up against Dortmund. No idea who this club is. And it was just so fun to watch them go up against Dortmund. For Auckland City, I'm sure it was embarrassing to get beat 10-0, but at the same time, probably kind of a fun experience to get to play against the likes of Bayern. I think they played Benfica. They would never get that chance before in the original Club World Cup because they get beat probably in the quarterfinal round. So that was my response. He comes back, So you're just going to take everything away from previous winners. That's nice. And nope, I hate Klopp, but fully agree with his sentiments on it all. This is where this guy needed to learn what autocorrect and spell check is, because, oh my god. You say that till you burn out fast next season because of all the extra games, are like if your English Palmer is effed by the World Cup next summer. You don't remember them doing this in 2000 and it never took off. United dropped out of the FA Cup and got backlash. Maybe you're too young or whatnot, I don't know, but it's not the first time they, and then went on a little bit more about the Club World Cup doing this before. And don't get me wrong, I always soft spot for Chelsea. I remember watching them UEFA Cup in 90s when I really had bad ear troubles and got to stay up past TV off time, and it was Chelsea on Zola & Co. And I've always had a soft spot since 2012. I called every penalty hit miss versus Bayern right. When Didier scored that equalizer, beautiful, so I'm not a Chelsea hater or anything like that. He's not a Chelsea hater, guys. He just hates the tournament. You're still hating on us. It doesn't matter, oh, I'm not hating on Chelsea specifically, I'm just hating on the tournament. Okay, you're still downplaying what we're trying to celebrate. So you are hating on us in your own special way. So of course, my response, who's taking anything away from previous winners? I never said anything about the previous tournaments being not an honor to win. Because it still is to be the best in the world, to beat probably the best team from South America. It's not an easy feat. We couldn't do it in 2012. So clearly it's not disgracing the original tournament. I'm just saying that now it's upped a little bit more, gotten a bit more difficult. I said it's still a great honor to have won it before. You can't say that a tournament with most of the big European teams is lesser than a tournament with only one. Guarantee if your team was in it, you'd absolutely be glazing this tournament. You were the champions, especially after thumping PSG to do so. Because that's really the big thing for me, is we beat the best team in Europe, and we thumped them. This guy came in, you mean Al Hilal team that schooled Pep, PSG that whooped Madrid 4-0. I'm pretty sure he said something about Al Hilal being in the tournament, and that's part of what makes it a joke. So this guy comes back. I can guarantee I wouldn't glaze the tournament, as I don't like the format. Biggest European teams, Porto, Benfica, when they last won a Champions League, Europa. Man City remind me where they finished. Oh, in Real, the two best teams in Europe had their current champions missing. So big doesn't mean best teams in Europe, no. I'm very happy you beat PSG, really happy, buzzing for real, Cole Palmer, but it's not as big as a Champions League title. It never has been, never will be, sorry, it just won't. Trying to read that hurt my brain. But my response, I even said most of the big European teams, but let's play your game. You say the Champions League is bigger, okay, and what did Chelsea, Man City, and Real all win to get into this tournament? It's the same tournament as before, just with more Champions League winners from each continent. Give it 2 more iterations, I guarantee a majority of the haters will be changing their tune about it, which I still think is true. But that's the big thing. He's trying to claim, oh, the Champions League will always be bigger. You have to win the Champions League to get here for most of these teams. You know, he's pointing out Porto and Benfica, they're the biggest teams in Portugal. And that's how they decided to set this up, is the Champions League winners will be there. And then if a country does not have 2 Champions League winners in it, then they'll pick the 2 biggest teams from that league. And I didn't do a deep dive, but I'm assuming it's the countries that have the best coefficient are the ones that get teams into the tournament. But that's why Porto and Benfica are there. They're 2 of the best teams in Portugal. So then this guy tries to come back and say that we're playing my game, not his game. He's not the one that started all this with his comment. It's my game. I'm the one that apparently brought him into this. So come on, didn't Arsenal win the Wheatbee Real Cup? I don't know why he's bringing that up. To be honest, if we want to get technical, I mean, I hate the Champions League format. It should be round robin with only league winners plus maybe last week's winners. So I hate that too, really, if it helps. I'm pretty sure Porto last won the Champions League in 03, was it, or 04, and Benfica, I can't remember if they have. They're famous for the Wembley loss to it 4-2 in extra time. Trying to read this is something else. But he actually says, I hate the Champions League format. He went from hating on the Club World Cup to I hate the Champions League format. So now he's attacking the Champions League to try to help his point about this tournament being a joke. This is where I started to just die laughing. It was so funny that that's the mindset he decided to take here. So we move on, and this is where I finally was just like, look, dude, spell check or autocorrect. So second, you started this game when you tried to rain on our parade by calling this tournament a joke. So now I've been giving you reasons why you're wrong. So yes, this is your game that you started. Third, if you're going to start trashing the Champions League format to prove your point, you've really lost the plot. You might be in the 2% of football fans that feel that way, so it actually works against you to get that technical on it. This is where this guy, I don't know if he's drunk, I don't know if he's bipolar, I don't know what happened. Tell me when I said it was a joke. 1 second. It was a joke. overall. Wow. That took so long to find where he said it was a joke, guys. And he says autocorrect gets in the way of spell check and drunk just tops them all. You learn drunk? So he's typing this drunk and I need to learn how to read drunk text? What? I'm not trashing Champions League tournament format to prove my point. What do you mean? I've never liked it. Out of all Premier League teams, big teams, I'm United. But I'm a Tiger, by the way. You am proud if you lived 90s in my life, you'd get it. Also, Parma in Italy and Ebbsfleet in Northern PL, and so should United. Should they win treble in 99? No, they shouldn't be in Champions League. They're not their country's champs, so I'm not making shit. And then he went on. Let me see if I can... Okay, so I'm not making shit up to suit my agenda as I go. It's money and nothing less the way footy is. Women's footy wants to be like men's. I say, why don't you avoid them mistakes? This is where my God, I don't even know what to say at this point. I really don't, because this guy is so far out there. This is the best I had. Did you not reread your comments prior to responding? Your first comment literally ended with, it was a joke overall. And again, saying you don't like the UCL format doesn't help your point at all. It shows your issues with the CWC is more personal than anything, which means you calling a joke is irrelevant. So yes, I did miss you calling it a joke instead of it joke. But at least you can read mine and understand what I'm saying. But I was so confused. I have no idea what this guy was on about. He did come back with 2 more comments. I'm not trying to help my point. I don't like the UCL format. Champions League with non-champions in it. Like, change the name. Try take the mic all you want. You seem likable, TBH, but I have my convictions. I never tried to rain on your parade. Never. A cup is a cup. I was as buzzing, probably. I remember Gudjonsson and Kudicini, Mikel, and Elka at Chelsea. Cole, Petit, Hugs, Mateo, all in the shirt. I'm no Chelsea hater, put that way. What? I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm just going to call the tournament you just won a joke, saying that I'd rather win the League Cup. How is that not trying to rain on our parade? So finally, I just responded, I'm just so confused. You're the one that brought the UCL into it first, saying it was a better tournament. Now you're trying to attack the UCL format. I don't know what the point of this debate is anymore, but like I said in my original comment, nothing is bringing me down. And that's really the big takeaway from all of this. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you didn't want to listen to all of that and we're just here for the transfer talk, I'll probably put a timestamp in for right now so you can jump past all of that. But it was just so funny to see all of these rival fans that thought they could come in here and be like, ooh, I'm gonna show him, I'm gonna tell him why he's wrong and why he shouldn't be excited. It's just so damn funny. But looking at the transfer news for Chelsea, so we've heard a couple of rumors, we've seen a couple of players leave or on the verge of leaving, and we've not brought anybody in since the Club World Cup ended. But we'll talk about the transfers that have been completed. First of all, we did get in Pedro and Gittens since the last time that I talked about transfers. For Pedro, I mean, what is there to say? He came in, he was on holiday, he was on the beach. He came in to a tournament, started the second match he was here with us, and scored 2 amazing goals. And then started in the final against the best team in Europe and scored a goal and was phenomenal. And like I said before, I'm one of the few people that have defended Jackson since he's been here, since he had all those mistakes. But even I have to look at it and go, Pedro is a better version of Jackson. He does all the stuff that Jackson does in the build-up and tracking players down, gets stuck in, tries to win the ball back, but he has better finishing. His shooting from outside the box, I think, is going to pay dividends for us if he can keep up what we saw in the Club World Cup at least. So he's definitely a massive upgrade, and it's something that I hope will push Jackson into lap, because both of them do need to be pushed. If we want to see the best that they can be, they need that competition, and Pedro is a great pickup for that. Gittens, I don't know much about. It's good to get a left wing in because we've been missing that, but I'll be honest, wingers from Dortmund don't typically do that well in the Premier League, at least historically speaking. Pulisic did fine here, but I don't think he ever really hit the heights that I think a lot of us were hoping he would. But to be honest, I don't know much about Gittens. I've heard that he likes to stay out wide, which is good, because typically Cucurella, he does sometimes provide the overlap, but most of the time he likes to get more inside. So having a wing that's going to stay out there and not take up that space that Cucurella is going to be running into, it's a good thing to have. We also did see a couple of players leaving. Kepa left since the last time I talked, Petrovic left, and Madueke left. And thank you, Arsenal, for the good chunk of money that we got. For Kepa, if you've seen any of my previous reviews on my previous channel whenever Kepa was here, you would know I'm not a big fan of Kepa. One of his biggest issues at Chelsea was he never moved his feet to get across to make a save. He was very stagnant. He did a lot of planting and then trying to dive from a planted position. Or he did a lot of the... Whoa. I hated that move. I'm not going to move at all. I'm just going to stand and watch as it goes in. absolutely despise that. So seeing him leave, it's not for a whole lot of money, especially considering how much we paid for him. It's a huge loss, but I think it's good to just get him off of our books. He's going to go to Arsenal. He's probably not going to play. I think that's fine. Petrovic leaving to Bournemouth, though, I'm a little disappointed. Obviously, they needed to replace Kepa from last season, and I thought Petrovic was going to be a good option for us this season. Even with Sanchez playing well in the final, he still has to do it consistently before I'm convinced that we can trust him. I think Petrovic is a good option to have. Whether he's taking the starting spot from Sanchez or whether he's the backup, I don't know. But he's a much better keeper than what we saw from Jorgensen. And while getting 25 for him is not bad, I still think it's disappointing that we didn't get a chance to see him really show what he's capable of, because the season before under Pochettino, I think he looked solid. But for Madueke, I think this is a great deal. I know some Chelsea fans still rate him very highly. Personally, I don't. I think he's a very selfish player, and I think the more that the season went along, he slowly started to drop off. The one thing that kept him in and around the team was the fact that he was at least scoring, he was creating good chances. He stopped doing that. Now, he might have a resurgence at Arsenal. I personally don't see it, because he's best on the right wing, and he's not better than Saka. So I don't know why Arsenal have picked him up. Maybe just as a backup for Saka in case he gets hurt or in case he's not fit. But even then, I just don't see Madueke doing well at a top club. I personally see him as a better option at a mid-table club. Like I've said before, I think he reminds me a bit of Callum Hudson-Odoi. Good bit of talent, but just not quite that top-level talent that's going to make it at one of the big teams, because he wants to show that individual talent. I think the mid-table clubs are the best place to do that. So that's all that's officially been done since my last transfer video. I might have missed a couple of youngsters, but there are some deals that seem to be in the works. There are some players that we're looking at, some players that other clubs are asking us about. But first, we'll talk about the big story, which is Nicholas Jackson. He's getting a lot of attention from Villa, from Arsenal, from Man U. What's ironic to me is all these Man U fans coming out and saying this is the last straw for them, that they're looking at Jackson. I'm sorry, what striker do you have at your club that's better than Jackson? Let's just do a quick little search here. Last season, he played 30 matches. Scored 10 goals, got 5 assists in the Premier League. Xerxes played 32 matches, got 3 goals and 1 assist. Højlund played 32 matches, got 4 goals. So why do you hate the fact that your club is linked with Jackson? And what's ironic is this is not even the worst player that they've been linked with. They were linked with Calvert-Lewin and then Vardy. And I'm not saying Vardy's a bad player. He's just not the same as he was 5 years ago. But why is Jackson the last straw? I just don't understand that. It's very clearly just meant to stir up controversy, but I do think a lot of these links are meant to stir up controversy. I'm not saying these clubs are not looking at him, but I think it's pretty clear the club and Maresca want to keep Jackson. I mean, Jackson is the type of striker Maresca wants, he just doesn't have the finishing. Again, I think João Pedro does, and that's why he will be the better option. But Jackson does everything else that Maresca wants him to do very well. And you listen to Jackson's comments in the interview talking about how he wants to stay, he wants to improve, he wants to take the criticisms on board. I think that shows the player wants to stay and wants to prove the doubters wrong. And the fact that we put a £100 million price tag on him, to me, that's not a, hey, we're looking to sell. That's a hands off. Unless you are willing to pay ridiculous money for him, we're not going to talk. So I think a lot of this is just the media trying to stir up controversy, because obviously the common theme right now is Chelsea fans hate Jackson, so they want him out of the club. And so, of course, the media are going to stir up all these reports that Chelsea are close to selling him because it gets clicks. That's the biggest outgoing transfer story. The only other transfers that I know of that seem to be in the works for players leaving, and I only looked this up because I wanted to talk about our left back options outside of Cucurella. And so I looked up to see what's going on with Vega, and apparently it seems Bayern are pretty close to getting him, and Chelsea might be looking to do a swap deal to pick up one of their defenders. I also did check because as somebody who lives in Atlanta, I was kind of curious what happened to Caleb Wiley. Apparently he hasn't played much since he's gone out on loan to Strasbourg and Watford last season, but it seems like he might be going out on loan to Watford again. I am curious to see what's going to happen with his career, because he started for our second team here in Atlanta. He started playing as more of a wing, and then once he got promoted to our first team, that's when he started playing more as a left back, because that's where we needed him the most. So he's more useful as kind of a wing back, because he gets up and down the line really well and gets into the attack a lot more than he defends. So in that mindset, I don't know if he's going to make it here at Chelsea. Might just be more so a player we picked up to be sold. But again, as somebody who lives in Atlanta, I was just kind of curious to see what was happening with him. But yeah, he's going out seemingly on loan to Watford again. But that's about the only stories that I looked up regarding our outgoing transfers, but of course there are several stories as far as who we are looking at getting. So first we'll start in defense. From what I understand, we are looking at a player named Kim at Bayern. Is not a young player, so I'm kind of surprised that that seems to be in the works, looking to maybe swapping Vega over there to get him in. Might be nice to have somebody with a bit of experience coming in after just winning the league with Bayern. Don't know much about him, South Korean player. He's playing for Bayern. Obviously, he's got to have some talent to him, but I just don't know what type of player he's going to be. There's also reports we're looking at Hato from Ajax, Dutch defender. I will say I'm a little wary of picking up Ajax players after everything that happened with Man U last season with Ten Hag, but who knows? Maybe he'll come in and be very good. Maybe the next Van Dijk. Probably not. But those are the only stories that I've seen as far as our defense is concerned. Midfield, I've not really heard many stories about players there, which makes sense because I think we've got a good midfield at the moment. We don't really need to be picking anybody else up there. But the wings, this is where we've heard a couple of interesting stories. First of all, we'll talk about Rodrigo. It does feel like he wants to leave Real Madrid, which makes sense because he doesn't seem to be getting any time there. But the question is, where's he going to go? Reports are Liverpool looking at him, Arsenal's looking at him, we're looking at him. Could be a pretty good pickup. Wings are something that we do need to strengthen a little bit more. So I think we've got some decent players there. I think Neto showed he's a very good player in this Club World Cup. Gittens, we'll see about him. Esteval's coming in with a lot of hype, but he's still young. We know Palmer can play out there. We saw Nkuku and Dewsbury Hall both slide out there, but I mean, I don't think we can rely on them fully. But we also know Jackson and Pedro could be sliding out to the wings as well, possibly. So we've got some options, but I think we need out-and-out wings. And Rodrigo, obviously coming from Real Madrid, a lot of excitement around that. I think it would be a bit different coming from La Liga to the Premier League. I think it'd take some time for him to adjust, but I think he'd be a very good pickup. Whereas the other one we've been linked with, Garnacho, personally, I'm not a fan. I've heard a lot of people talking about like, oh no, he's got a bit of an ego problem, but he's a really good player. It's just Man U is not a good environment for him, blah, blah, blah. I'm the type of person where your attitude is part of how you are as a player. It's why there are certain players that, even though they're very talented, I would never want them near Chelsea. I'm thinking Grealish, I'm thinking Bruno Fernandes, I'm thinking Emiliano Martinez. Those are players that they're talented. They are very good players, but their attitudes are awful, and I don't want to support that type of player. Garnacho is in that type of group. He seems like a punk. He seems like somebody who thinks he's much better than he is. I don't want him at Chelsea. He'd probably be decent. I don't think he'd tear up the league. I don't think he'd be our best option, but he has goals in him. Like he obviously scored some amazing goals in his time at Man U, but personally looking at it, he is just an attitude problem that I don't want to have here. Me personally, I'm saying hands off. Don't want him anywhere near the club. If he does come, it's not like I'm going to sign a petition to not want him here, but I will be disappointed, and I don't think I can bring myself to like him. But there are a couple of other wingers I think we've been linked with, but those are kind of the two big ones that I've heard. Not really heard much about keepers. Obviously, the Maignan deal didn't go through before the tournament. I haven't really heard much about us reigniting that interest. I did hear some reports that maybe we'd be looking at Donnarumma, but on Sanchez, I mean, I said it in my review, he played phenomenally against PSG. If he can continue to play like that, then I think a lot of Chelsea fans will hold their hands up and go, you know what? He's good. But the problem is his consistency has been lacking. So if he does make some more big errors that lead to some goals early on in the season, a lot of fans will once again be asking, why do we not have a better option than Sanchez? But he is just 27, so he's about to enter his prime as a keeper. So who knows? Maybe we haven't seen the best of Sanchez yet. And if so, then fantastic. We can save some money there and focus on getting better players in defense. But personally, I'm not entirely convinced by Sanchez yet, and it's going to take at least half of a season of him not making any major errors and him keeping us in games like he did for the PSG match for me to be okay with him being our number one. But like I said, even if he is our number one, I think we do need something better than Jorgensen just in case he's unavailable or gets hurt. But I think that's about it for rumors that I've heard for our transfers. I'm sure there are some others that I haven't heard or might be happening in between the time that I'm recording this and when I post it. But some of the things I would like to see us pick up at least one, maybe two more wings. We definitely need a backup for Cucurella at left back because there's no way he's going to keep playing at this level without any breaks. So we need somebody that can help take that position from him whenever he does need a rest. I still personally think we need an experienced center back, but I don't think we're going to get that. And when I say experienced, I know Kim is 28. I'm talking more so your Thiago Silva, somebody's coming in at their early 30s that has that experience and can be a leader in the dressing room. And also a keeper that can push Sanchez for that starting spot and keep him either at this level that we saw or take the spot from him if he's going to drop off again. But outside of that, I think we're doing pretty well in the transfer window. I think Pedro has definitely won the transfer window so far. I know it's a bit unfair since we're one of 2 Premier League teams that have had a chance to play since we've made some transfers, but still, he's already started and has done really, really well. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of clearing out that needs to happen, so hopefully they'll be focusing on that. But with all that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you want to see transfer-wise? Who do you want to see leave? Who do you want to see stay? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea previews, reviews, and talks. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you all later. Peace out.